What's up guys, J-Kun Prime here. So Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been out for a little under 2 weeks now. I went through the story, made it to World Invasion level 5, and I'm at about 36 on the endgame mastery level. So I think it's time to give my opinion on this game and how I feel it's going to do in the future. So first off, I'm going to talk about performance. Having played this game on the Xbox Series X and on the PC, I can safely say that this is another superhero game that I feel unfortunately is going to shine the brightest on console. On PC, it'll run just fine if you have a pretty strong machine, which I do, but anything over 60 frames a second is just not going to happen unless you're in the menu. The moment you go into Metropolis or go into an enemy-rich environment, any target frame rate you're looking to get is just not going to be reached in any way, shape, or form. Thankfully, crossplay and cross-progression are a thing, so if you want to make the jump, you can do so. However, with crossplay, this begins my biggest pain point of performance. I have played with multiple people across multiple platforms, and inviting people from different platforms is definitely a 50-50 shot as to whether or not they're going to get the invite. Several times I was in situations where one person got the invite and the other person didn't. Highly annoying, but nothing that can't be fixed with an update. Next is probably one of the things that people have been talking about the most, and that has been the fact that people can't even get into the game to play it. For a select few, there have been reports of people not even being able to get past the login screen, thus ensuring that they can't even get to the title screen to start the game. This is hands down one of the worst bugs I have ever seen in gaming, ever. When people pay $70 to $100 for your game, or in my case, $200 since I have it on 2 different platforms, you can't even allow them to play is a huge problem and should be one of your top priorities to fix. The last thing I want to bring up though for performance is honestly one of the worst gripes I've had with the game is match stability over long periods of play. Me and fellow content creators Lejeune and King Greek have experienced this firsthand. The longer our session was in play, the more lagged and delayed the sessions got, with delays in ammo pickups, delays in hit reactions, delays in shield harvesting to the point that it would take anywhere from 6 seconds to almost 30 seconds for an enemy to acknowledge that they got hit at all. Yikes! But before you think this video is just here to drag the game, let me change gears to the story and the gameplay, which I have a lot of positive things to say. Gameplay is phenomenal. It is one of the perfect games to get on with your friends and just BS the night away. In that department, it stands alone in fun factor, right up there with Borderlands and even in some cases the newly released Helldivers 2. But even then, performance-wise, I say it stands alone because there is something about Suicide Squad that I just have not felt anywhere else. Secondly, the story is top-notch. I expect nothing less from Rocksteady at this point. The story and the characters are engaging and, oddly enough, relatable with some of the issues that they encounter. And while I admit going through a game where we are going through and ceremoniously shooting and killing the Justice League made me feel some kind of way, especially Batman and Superman, this is some of the best storytelling Rocksteady has ever done. However, there is a caveat to that writing. As a streamer, there are many times where, it's required to, I don't know, talk to your chat. And me personally, I don't like talking over the game in case there's something story-wise that I wind up missing. But when you're out roaming around the city, these characters just do not shut up. Like, ever. If they're not quipping with each other, then you're hearing Batman rant at you, or you're hearing Brainiac rant at you. By the time I hit the end game, I was scrambling to find a mute button for these guys, just so I could feel like I had an opportunity to talk. But even with that being said, I was laughing and giggling the entire time while playing this game, which is a big plus in my book. Gameplay-wise, everyone kind of plays the same here except Traversal, which is butter smooth, except Harley. Sorry, Rocksteady, I know you said it takes some time to get used to it, but it just never came. Playing Harley feels like swinging from roof to rooftop with bricks on your feet. Gunplay, however, feels really good. In the alpha, I said that guns did not feel impactful to shoot, and thankfully they fixed that issue. Each gun, especially shotguns, feel powerful even when they sometimes aren't. Loot is also pretty good, though more of it would be nice, and increased drop rate on some items would be even better, and even the ability to target farm certain pieces of loot, I think, would be a very welcome addition to the game. I grinded to tier 5 invasion levels because that's what's supposed to yield the better loot and the master weapons. Master weapons, by the way, are basically the game's equivalent to like perfect weapons, I guess you could say. Yet at invasion tier 5, it feels like the loot has just kind of gotten worse. I don't know if it's just me, but what is the point of grinding if I'm not going to get anything better? You know what I mean? Next up is the end game and boss fights. Boss fights leave a lot to be desired, with Green Lantern, in my opinion, being the best boss fight in the game, and Batman definitely being the weakest. All of them basically dwindle down to the same thing. Don't get hit, shoot a counter shot, magged up as much as you can before you repeat the whole process over. Now granted, many looter shooters follow this same pattern. I should know, I've played Destiny for 10 years. But it would be nice to see a difference in strategy depending on who you were fighting. And don't even get me started on Brainiac, the big end guy of the game. The end-all be-all. The guy that single-handedly enslaved the Justice League. What do we get? We get the Flash fight again. But this time with trash heads, enemies in between. This is so weak sauce it hurts. Like, I get that they're trying to set up the in-game stuff here, but man, like, when I sit and play your game and I literally say, that was it, that's not a good look. That's really, really not a good look. And let me touch on Batman here for a second. Now, I'm not going to go digging into my archives to go find the footage, because I'm pretty sure the people who are watching this video, you also played Gotham Knights. And as much pain as I went through playing Gotham Knights, I have to admit something. Fighting Batman in that game felt like a fight for your life. When Gotham Knights, which was a train wreck from start to finish, has a better Batman boss fight than you, Rocksteady, that is a problem. And something you should rectify. Like, I'm pretty sure you got another Batman fight coming. Because, well, let's be real. You laid enough Easter eggs to, like, issue in a new apocalypse. Pretty much hinting at the fact that Batman is still alive. So, if we're going to fight Batman again, please bring something better to the table than what you brought here. And speaking of endgame. Now, I made a point to not fully judge the endgame until the endgame officially starts in March. But if I had to judge it now, whew! 3 missions that cost you in-game currency to play, and then the Brainiac fight all over again. That's it. That's your loop. Now, with that being said, kudos to Rocksteady for stating that they didn't want the endgame to take over people's lives, therefore it's kinda short on purpose. I can accept that. But in the shape that it's in right now, I guess that plan is working, because it took me less than 2 days to get all the in-game loot, and then I asked myself, now what? But as I said, I will pass final judgment on the game once Season 1 officially starts in March with the arrival of the Joker. But as of right now, here is my final thought. In the current state, I do think Suicide Squad is going to survive. It's hard to say for how long, honestly. For as much as the game does wrong, there's also a lot that the game does right. Drop in, drop out co-op, the ability to use friends' bots and pull bots from the leaderboards to use if you don't have any friends to play with at the time, and then the people whose bots you used get loot for you using the bots. Pretty nice. The fact that all DLC that is coming up is going to be free is also pretty welcomed. I have always been very much on that, that ship of, like, free DLC is awesome. But with this being a live service game, you do need to take into consideration that it takes money to make DLC, and if the only moneymaker of this game is people buying the game and then a cosmetic store, which is pretty pricey, I might add, how are you going to have the funding to make all this DLC, especially when the launch of this game was not great and people are still talking pretty bad about it. Now, I said some pretty bad things here in this video, but I am also saying them from a unbiased point of view because you can't fix the problem if you don't know what's broken in the first place. So that is pretty much the only reason I'm putting out the criticism, so they know what they need to look at in order to make the experience of this game better. Because I do want to see this game to succeed, even though a lot of people don't for a lot of various nonsensical reasons. No FOMO in the upcoming Battle Pass is also insanely welcomed. Halo Infinite started doing this, and I have been screaming from the rooftops ever since that every other live service game needs to do the exact same thing. Having a fear of missing out just to make people play your game, I feel like is shady tactics, and people should be able to play at their leisure and still get the rewards that they're paying for. So that is fantastic on their part for following suit. And the fact that just playing the game is fun. There isn't a lot here, if anything at all, I would say is a death sentence for this game. So I'll just say this. If you dig the Suicide Squad or you dig the Arkhamverse, go ahead and pick it up. If you wanted to wait until it was on sale, that's okay too. I was skeptical about a yet another live service game going into my arsenal, but being that this game will basically let me come and go as I please, that's a win in my book. Let me know what you think down in the comments below about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.